Good morning. I am Rishika Khanna, mechanical engineering undergraduate from IIT Delhi and an intern at MRC working on the project Underwater Domain Awareness Framework for Sediment Management. I would be giving overall view of the problem statement, various dimensions of sediment management, challenges and policy gap coverage. Siltation occurs when supply of sediment locally exceeds transport capacity of sediment of the water flow. Although sedimentation and soil erosion is a natural process, their rate significantly increases due to anthropogenic activities like poor agricultural practices, construction and expansion of harbor, deforestation, etc. Sediment management refers to the holistic management of sediment supply from rivers to coast, considering the full range of human activities. Now, the tropical littoral waters have a very unique situation with high flow rate of water bodies due to concentration of the annual monsoon to within one quarter, thereby causing excessive siltation and posing many challenges for India. In India, 0.95% of gross reservoir storage is lost annually to sediment deposit. The gross littoral drift in major eastern coastlines, such as in Chennai, is around 2.56 million meter cube. In Visakhapatnam, it is 1.13 million meter cube, and in Patidar, it is around 2.16 million meter cube. India's total coastline length is over 7,500 kilometers, with more than 5,000 large dams and many more small dams and barrages. There are 111 inland national waterways with 20,275 kilometers spread across 24 states. Such huge involvement in hydro projects scale up the siltation problems and threaten the sustainability with enormous costs to the national economy. Therefore, it raises the need for a strong sediment management framework for the nation. Such framework could be applied to many areas, including ecosystem management, inland navigation system, water reservoir and harbor basins. In ecosystem, siltation leads to increase in groundwater and soil salinity, water turbidity, and also covers the spawning site of fish. The siltation in inland navigation system leads to delta deposition and channel logging, changing the courses of the river. In water reservoirs, siltation is mainly responsible for storage loss, blockage of tunnels and spillways, and damage of equipments. In harbor basins, siltation is a cause of coastal erosion, which could be combated by dredging. However, lack of dumping sites and expensive investment are major challenges. Siltation management could be applied to disaster mitigation also. We look at the two case studies. On 7th February this year, a sudden flood struck Chamoli district of Uttarakhand, causing mass destruction in two hydropower projects, Rishi Ganga and Taporan Vishnugarh. The death toll reached 72, and the causes predicted were landslip and glacial lake bursts. A much large-scale devastation was caused in Kedarnath 2013 floods, which is triggered by heavy rainfall and cloudbursts and resulted in large flash floods and massive landslides. The death toll crossed 5,000 and the estimated loss was around 3,000 crores. Many environmentalists attribute these disasters to some unscientific developments that were happening in the region. New resorts and hotels were built on fragile river. 70 hydroelectric projects were constructed back to back. Haphazard road construction was there, and hydro dams and steep slopes and extensive mining was present. Now the question arises, can proper sediment management plan help to mitigate such disasters in future? We find that sediment supply zone is an essential factor in debris flow triggering, and it can help in preventing disasters to some extent. The least stable zone identification, estimation of sediment and debris volume, and analyzing sediment storage system can form a strong foundation for disaster mitigation strategy. The first step in sediment classification and estimation is primary data collection, which involves in situ data sampling, acoustic methods, or satellite remote sensing. Any of these methods could be used for primary data collection. In situ data sampling refers to the treatment and analysis of sediment after physical sampling at the sediment detection station. However, the drawback is that topographic conditions and land cover often hinder accessibility to conduct complete field surveys and data samplings. Remote sensing has the capability to capture the spatial variations in hydrometeorological variables without any physical contact with the target. The information is obtained through electromagnetic radiations, which are emitted or reflected by the target. It provides a very quick method for monitoring sedimentation in lakes and reservoirs. However, sometimes it fails to provide very precise information which could be deployed for effective desiltation process. So, very frequent and advanced technology is used, which is known as acoustic seabed classification. It is becoming increasingly important for many fields. The main advantages are the continuous non-invasive probing of the seabed and a vast reduction in survey time and cost. The methods include ecosignal analysis, seabed acoustic imaging, and sonar. In processing and modeling, we first go through empirical calculation methods. Then we perform harmonization of the primary data collected. We do simulation of the models and the GIS mapping. Next, we come to sediment management strategies. Sediment management in reservoir could be done in three ways: sediment yield reduction, sediment routing, and sediment removal. The methods are further divided on the basis of seasonality and location. The most optimized sediment management practice is a function of reservoir life and the retention time. Selection of the optimal sediment management techniques can be estimated based on the precedent experience, and these factors are indicated in the chart given here. Secondly, under sediment management strategies comes the slope stability analysis, which must be carried out before any construction or development of highways, tunnels, and bridges to minimize the occurrences of landslide or slope failure. It depends on factors such as shear strength, which needs to be overcome in order to push the rock down the slope, water content playing an important role in controlling strength of unconsolidated sediments, moist sediments being the strongest, and material type, uh, which determines the fracture, spreading, or layering, as well as planes of weakness. Factor of stability equation helps to determine regions prone to failure. If factor of stability is less than or equals to 1, the slope will fail. The factor of stability is larger than 1, the slope will be quite stable. However, if the factor of stability is slightly greater than 1, small disturbances may cause the slope to fail. The major parameters of factor of stability are cohesion, friction angle, solid unit weight, and the slope angle. The third factor in sediment management strategies is sediment budgeting and fingerprinting. Sediment budgeting is a summation of sediment volume supplied and lost to the stream and coastal compartment in a definite time. It considers all known sources and sinks of sediment under study. Determining the sources and sinks of sediment is crucial in development strategies to reduce sediment loads to water bodies impaired by sediment. Sediment fingerprinting, which is also an upcoming technology, is a method to identify and quantify specific sources of eroded sediment using some tracers like chemicals, trace elements, radioisotopes, etc. While the sediment budget approach provides information of sediment fluxes and links between source, storage, and export, the sediment fingerprinting gives the relative contribution of potential sediment sources delivering sediments to a defined controlled volume. Combining both approaches can provide valuable information on where to target measures to reduce erosion, sediment delivery, and transport. Next, we come to disposal of sediments. Majority of Indian ports opt for open sea disposal system for getting rid of desilted material. A proper sediment framework will establish resource optimization by judicious disposal and reuse strategies. Extracted sediments have a lot of potential applications, from restoring natural flooding to beach nourishment and landfills, land expansion and construction. It can also contribute in environmental enhancement like habitat creations and sediments and maintenance, as well as agricultural and product usage, such as preparation of bricks, ceramics, concrete, or manufacturing topsoil. Throughout the sediment management framework development, we come across many challenges, few of them being gaps in data coverage and its automation, lack of understanding of underwater medium, and its random behavior. Tropical regions undergo significant diurnal and seasonal fluctuations, which limits the optimum exploitation of sediment classification efforts. Next is suboptimal sonar performance, which the efficiency of sonar sensors is reduced in shallow tropical waters due to proximity to the boundaries. This causes multiple interferences and reflections of the traversing acoustic signal, resulting in modification of the signals. Next challenge we come across is the lack of dredging framework. The lack of detailed soil investigations during dredging causes variations in the expected outcome and measured results, which leads us back to the requirement of proper sediment classification. Disposal of dredged material is also a matter of concern due to lack of dumping sites and the need for higher investment. Measurement of bed load is comparatively difficult due to the movement only during high discharge and turbulent flow, such as floods, making it hard for field measurement and sediment monitoring. And lastly, stakeholder involvement at each level. Challenges in stakeholder involvement include lack of representation, different levels of knowledge, ineffective communication, and conflicting interests. The three next week, lastly, we come to policy gap coverage. The three interventions which are required in policy gap coverage are technological interventions, capacity and capability building, and policy interventions. In technology interventions, the approaches are modeling and simulation, developing a holistic database management system, robust data analytics system, and automation of the processes to minimize the human error. In capacity and capability building, there is a need for human resource development, skill enhancement, involvement of local workforce, and uh, encouraging river training works. Some few of the policy interventions which can be clubbing of dredging and construction activities so that they can go side by side. Some impetus for bedload measurements and formation of working groups of stakeholder representatives. Thank you for your attention.